What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel, I post great content for producers, singers, artists, and any musician that wants to learn how to improve their music and build their brand in order to make it in the music industry and to achieve their goals. So today I'm back with a third interview. Today I had the privilege to interview Pali Ray, who's one of my friends, singers and rappers who had a lot of success self-releasing music, distributing it everywhere in all the streaming platforms. And I got the chance to talk to him today and he shared a lot of knowledge. I feel like this interview has a lot of great content, so I really suggest you pay close attention in this video, you take notes if you need to, because you're truly going to be able to learn how he was able to achieve success after you see the interview. So enough with the intro, let's get straight to the interview. What's up guys, we're here in the studio with Pali Ray. What's up Pali Ray, how you doing?
What's up? How are y'all doing today? Appreciate you having me, Mark. Been following me for a while.
Thanks for coming and for talking to me. It's definitely gonna be fun. So
brother.
if you don't know him, Pali Ray is a singer and rapper who has had some success self-releasing music and has gained a lot of listeners in all streaming platforms. Some of his stats, he has been able to release a lot of music very consistently. Only in this 2020 he's already released 5 songs and he has a lot of more content to release. One of his biggest songs is called Lonely, currently stands at 400,000 streams and holds many other singles with over 100,000 streams, so congratulations on this success. He also has 26,000 monthly listeners, so he was able to build a fan base that consistently listens to his music every month. So today I wanted to talk to you and I wanted to define a main topic of discussion so that we can talk about it. And I wanted to talk about the process of self-releasing music, how you were able to build momentum in Spotify and other streaming platforms to have listeners that are engaging in your content and constantly listening to your music, and how you were able to pitch your music to big Spotify playlists that supported your content. To begin, what's your musical background and how did you begin making music?
So my musical background, really, I just liked music a lot until I was maybe 18, 19. My mom was actually a professional Indian actress and singer, like Bollywood singer. So that's where that came from. But really, I was just messing around. I used to listen to a lot of pop punk, alternative type stuff and some mainstream hip hop. When I was 18, I started freestyling a lot for fun. And my teammates were like, dude, you're actually good. And I was like, no, I'm not a rapper. Next thing I knew, my freshman year, they pushed me on stage at a talent show in front of 4,000. Asked some girl to come up. They said, what's the biggest problem in your life? And she goes, I have huge boobs. I was like, what the hell? They asked her what her favorite song was. It was Hot by Bobby Shmurda. And so they dropped that beat. I started rapping about her boobs. Everybody lost their minds. Next thing I know, the next day the team sent me to the studio, and that was the start of that. I met Bryson Tiller's engineer and was working with him, didn't know it, but I didn't even know how to write at the time, just freestyled, and that was my first 2 things on Soundcloud, and then just kept going. That was 5 years ago.
Wow. And I did see a lot of videos of you freestyling, so that's something that I definitely respect, because one thing is writing, one thing is taking your time to write down all your songs and taking the day to write it down and then sing and having a good voice, but being able to freestyle on the spot about like relevant stuff and not just like cursing and all that, but actually a story that makes sense. That's like really impressive.
I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. And that's right. I had to start from somewhere.
So you mentioned how you began 5 years ago, right? So I bet when you began, like your mainly listeners were people from your school, your teammates, as you said, and your friends, right? So how did you jump from just having your friends to listen to your music to actually gaining listeners that you don't necessarily know that listen to you because of your music and care about your content?
Well, like you said, so the first 2 or 3 years, I was really just like, I'm still figuring stuff out, but I was figuring stuff out then, and people were genuinely clicking with me because really the thing is you have to put yourself into your music. A lot of people start off trying to copy someone else or putting up a front, and those things are hard to mold unless you really create the character because they can't change. But if you put yourself, you can implement yourself in a bunch of different ways. So doing all that little setup work got me a little bit of buzz, but once I actually I built my own studio, worked the whole summer and built it and taught myself how to mix because I couldn't spend money on engineering. But once I did that and I got control over it, I was able to round out my brand a lot more. And that's when I first dropped Lonely, and it really got attention on all apps. Does that answer your question, or did I miss a part?
No, yeah, that's a very good answer. And so you drop Lonely, right? Does it go viral from the very beginning, or did it take like a long time for it to like slowly like start? Like, how was your growth curve?
So really, the first 2 weeks was not bad at all. I didn't expect much because it was my first drop on all apps. In the first 2 weeks, it was already over 3K or 2K.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. So then I looked at a bunch of other artists that had like good numbers and like independent, and I was looking at them, and then started studying their growth rate through chartmetric.io, and you can actually see their growth curves too. And I started looking at like the reception rates of certain audiences, and at the time Juice WRLD was a huge influence for me. He still is, but my music was heavily modeled after his at that time. So I really, in my personal way, I just looked up Juice WRLD, scrolled down, looked at see all playlists, clicked that, and looked at every playlist, and if I could find the name of the curator, I would message and email them. In that first month, I did that to so many that 10 really fucked with me, and 2 of them put me on big time, and I cannot thank them enough. Shout out Joshua Doyle. He doesn't have those playlists anymore. Unfortunately, he sold it, but he was liking my music so much. He was charging me $5 to get on a playlist spot with like 80,000 listeners.
Oh, wow.
Now, unfortunately, he sold that playlist, so it's $300 to get the same spot I was getting for $5. But
no way.
Yeah. So it was kind of like it was slow, then quick, and then all of a sudden within the first month it was moving. And I just kept it going. I just kept trying to pitch it to the right people as I figured out myself.
So the key, as you were saying, the key you think was just pitching it to so many playlists to the point where like, those playlists were the one basically promoting your music for you? Was that the key to your success, you think? Playlists?
It's kind of. You also have to be careful. Like, a lot of artists have like a one style or one brand or like know where they're headed. For me, I've always been everywhere, from pop to EDM to trap or whatever. So I've learned through trial and error that projecting it to the right audience is so important. I've had songs been slept on because I didn't put it to the right audience. And I've had songs I never thought would go that crazy, go absolutely dumb when I promoted it to the right audience. And it's not always gonna be right off top. Almost every time, the day that I drop a song, I almost always get a little depressed because I want it to be more than it is.
Yeah.
But then within a week, it starts building on itself, and I'm not like that. But it still happens to me every time. So when you drop a song, don't think, oh, it has to do this immediately. Just focus on getting it in front of 10 genuine fans or people who will listen to it a day. And if you can collect 6 of them, 5 of them, then Spotify algorithm is gonna pick you up and pitch you to people like that. Cool. So all in all, playlist, yes, but the quality of music and who it's projected to is how you do well. If 10 people hear my song and 0 save it, the algorithm is not gonna touch my shit. So it doesn't do me any good to promote to playlists that aren't gonna receive me well, and it doesn't do me any good to get bots, because all it does is fuck up my algorithm.
And when you say distribute it to the right people, how do you go about doing that? Like, how do you use social media? Do you still do it through the playlist? What do you mean by promoting it to the right people, and how do you find those right people?
You need to understand your brand. You need to understand, like, a lot of people just make songs to make songs because how they want to make it, but you got to understand that once you get to a point that you're a good enough artist, you are now packaging things. You are packaging things towards certain audiences, and you have that in mind. And if you don't, then that's when you're just making music and you're just pitching it to a bunch of people to try and figure out what your audience is. Social media wise, there's a lot of people who are better than me on social media. My music has really fueled my social media instead of vice versa. And I'm trying to like figure it out now.
Yeah.
But social media, man, I can't even tell you, because like the promo shits are so fucked up right now. Like it's all bullshit. So you better like, I won't even comment on the social media. I'm just working on it.
Okay. Good shit. And so you self-released all of those songs you've ever done, right? You've never released under a label or had any label contracts?
Never.
And what would you say are the advantages of releasing music, like, by yourself, and disadvantages?
That's a big one.
Compared to like one. Labels,
Yeah, it's a big one.
Like, just to clarify a little more, like should like a singer artist wait until they get a label, like a label contract, or should they start releasing their music and not wait?
Start releasing your music and don't wait. It's too oversaturated now to hope for someone to find you. You've got to be in everybody's faces doing your thing all the time, but you got to know when to promote. You can't burn it out, but you got to be relevant in people's minds. You have to literally ingrain yourself there so they come back and check on you. But overall, the whole question, self-releasing, you have creative control. That is the number one biggest benefit compared to a label. You have creative control. I control exactly what I say. I can push it to anyone I want. And really you have the freedom to just make music, which is why a lot of artists get burned out. The perks of a label obviously are the platform and the resources that you could not have on your own. And being an independent artist, I do the mixing, mastering, recording, promoting, publishing. I do all of it. And it's hard to compete when there's artists like in labels that have a team of 60 people working on their vocals, another team of 10 mastering it, and another team of 20 doing all their promo, and all they do is step in the booth.
Exactly.
So if you really think you're that good, you cannot wait and hope for them to find you, because now labels don't care how good you are. They don't. As much as they want to say they do, they don't give a fuck how good you are. All they care about is how they can turn your followers into fans and make money. So that being said, you need to learn how to create your own base and create an engaged base on your own, because otherwise they're not gonna pick you up and put you up. And shit, I'm a prime example.
Yeah. Good, thank you. And so again, on the topic of self-releasing, there's so many platforms nowadays that you can use, to pitch your music to all different platforms. Which one do you use, and which one do you think is the best for artists for independent artists to release their music?
So I'm using DistroKid. I've been using DistroKid, and DistroKid and TuneCore are meant for intro level or like independent artists. That's why they charge so little and let you promote so much, or let you put so much. But the thing is, people don't know is they do take hidden cuts. As in United Masters takes a bigger one. That's why they offer you like the little perks and stuff. But like, I mean, they're still dope because you're getting to put your music out as much as you want for all those. But from what I've learned, TuneCore is still the most official and most rounded. It costs the most because it is. And if you want all your money, you got to do that. But if you're not making enough money, it's hard to afford. So DistroKid is the perfect way to enter.
Okay, and you have you ever considered switching to TuneCore, or you're stuck with DistroKid?
I actually have a TuneCore account, but I've just been with DistroKid, and like I've just been rocking with DistroKid because I figure like they're not doing anything wrong. It's not them. If anything's doing anything wrong, it's Spotify or whatever when they don't put it up late or don't get it playlisted or don't submit it. But DistroKid has always pushed my stuff out pretty well, and I think, especially right now with the Corona shit, it's not the distribution platforms, it is the actual music platforms themselves that are getting held back. But yeah, if you get big enough, I from what I've heard, I would want to change to TuneCore and stuff like that. But right now, as I'm funding myself and promoting myself, DistroKid is the more affordable option.
Anyway, so thank you, and kind of a little bit like moving on to a different topic. There's a huge market right now on selling and buying beats, for producers and singers to communicate. And, me being a producer, I'm on one side of the spectrum, and you being, more of a singer are on the other side of the spectrum. So I wanted to ask you, what do you, when you're looking for beats, to sing over, what do you look for, and what makes a great producer that is selling beats? What are the little details that you look for, especially when buying beats?
It's almost intangible. It's the same as like when you find a good artist and they're slept on, but they're good. It's like a lot of people make beats and a lot of people just make them the same way artists do, like just make music, but they're not packaging it, or they're not thinking of the purpose behind it. They're just making it because they like how it's sounding in that moment, because it sounds good. But in saying that, a lot of people try to model after others, and there is some good to that, but if you don't put your own persona into it, it's not gonna hit. And I think a lot of producers, the ones that turn me off are when people have good sounds and like good melodies, but they don't like arrange them correctly, or there's not a desired vibe. Like it just sounds good, but the beat itself doesn't inspire me. It doesn't make me angry. It doesn't make me edgy. Like, you know what I mean? It has the actual presence has to be constructed. And if the producer has an idea, like once they start making the song, they're like, I want the presence on this to be like this. You know what I mean? If you can create that atmosphere, I'm gonna fuck with it. In saying so, a lot of producers try to model after other ones or whatever and create good sounds, or take a good sound. They like to take a generic sound that they know that people are fucking with, and that's okay. But when you do that, you have to create an atmosphere around it. Otherwise, it's not unique. If it just sounds good, but it doesn't have something it makes you feel, it's just sound. It's not music.
Yeah.
And that goes with artists too.
Yeah. So in general, making music with a purpose, right? To try and find and develop, your sound, not just making random music because you like it.
Right.
I mean, in general, that's what makes a difference between a guy that is just making music for fun because he makes music for himself, for what he enjoys, or making music to develop a brand with an actual sense, that with an actual goal.
Right, and that too, like, I don't want to discourage other artists because you have to spend hours, at least 10,000 hours, figuring out your own shit. So yeah, you have to make it for the music first. But once you get to a certain point, you got to realize that this game is too oversaturated to just be making music, and you got to direct your packages.
Yeah, good shit. And then lastly, I saw that one of your best, I think, qualities, I would say, first of all, is the quality of your music. But I would say that you're very good at releasing constantly. You're always there, almost every month, releasing music. You had like 8 releases, I'm pretty sure, I counted in 2019. You have now 5 in 2020 in just 3 months. So how do you feel about the whole argument of like quality over quantity? Like, no, I want to wait until this song is perfect until I release it, or let me just release content and then improve as I go?
So I've been on both sides of this coin. When I first started, like you said, I only dropped 8 in 2019, and I only dropped like 4 and then a little EP in 2018 when I first started, and are dropping on all apps. And I think that I think too many artists are focused on projects because they're like, I need to put a like whole project, but fuck, man, no one's listening to your project if nobody knows who the fuck you are, or you don't have an engaged base. You gotta go with singles slowly, and you gotta promote the shit out of them so you figure out where your base is, and then after that, in my opinion, I made 186 songs in 2019, and I only dropped 8. And that being said, at least 40 of them deserve to be dropped, but I couldn't drop them because I didn't have the proper funding or resources to promote them properly. So now in 2020, I said, you know what, I'm gonna change my technique, because I consider artists and like all these guys like stores. Okay, so let's say like Drake and all them, he's Saks Fifth. He is the designer store, the center of the mall. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody knows where that shit is. That's that fly shit. Everybody wants it. I consider myself, I'm outside the mall. It's an Indian restaurant. I had some good dishes. People are like, yo, that shit is fire, but it's outside the mall. And it didn't have a lot of stuff, but they're like, yo, those dishes are fire. So I said, okay, now that my storefront is looking healthy, everybody knows about my really popular dishes, and they know I'm a store, I'm gonna start knocking out all these new recipes so they start coming and checking me out more, and then hopefully I can get into the mall.
Good metaphor. Good shit. Good metaphor, man. That was really good. That was fucking amazing. Good shit. That's definitely so helpful. Yeah, it all relates in the end, the restaurant owner, singer. Somehow it all relates. Building a brand to get people to fuck with you.
It's all the same, brother. It's all the same game, just different names.
So now we're kind of getting to the end of the interview, and usually the last section is kind of a section where I'll let you like promote any projects you're working on, and just tell us like what you're working on and what's your plan in the coming months.
Dope. So I dropped Dynamic Access yesterday. That one
Fire.
I've actually held on to since September.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, but I knew because I've been working so much. I've been making a song almost every day. In 2019, I've already got like 40 something songs. So I was like, you know what? I got all this new shit about to come out that people are not ready for. Let me make sure not to sleep on the shit that was dope from before. Otherwise,
yeah.
I get too late and it's gone.
Exactly.
So I just yeah. Go ahead.
I from what I've heard in your music, you know, going back to, you know, your music from 2017, 2018, I was listening to it and I was like, oh, like this guy has a lot of potential. It sounds good, but I was not like, I really liked it, but I was like kind of feeling like, oh, this guy has potential. But now when I listen to your music,
yeah.
I'm like, this guy grew up, this guy matured, this guy learned a lot, and now he knows what he's doing. So like, it's clear that you have a vision and that you have a purpose when you're making music, and I think that, you know, transmits into your music much more than it used to in the beginning. That's what I feel when I listen to your music now.
Oh, 100%, bro. Like at the beginning, man, I was listening to some of my old music and I was like, holy shit, this is so corny, or it's like cheesy, but and it was it's choppy, but in saying so, every 4 bars there was a meaning. There's a double meaning, there's a lyric, there's something witty to everything, even if it's corny and cheesy, and that was the potential part. And so looking back at my career, Lonely, Break My Heart, Drowning, those songs popped off. The chill ones popped off because I was a tennis player. Like I was in like homeschool training. I wasn't in like the rap trap scene. Like I wasn't hip to the culture, so my emotional stuff translated better because it was human for me. So now, like you said, now that I've matured, now that I'm understanding the industry and society, my bangers are coming together. I could always rap, but it's about, like you said, putting the whole product. And before, like, I had some talent, but the product wasn't there together.
Exactly. It's just beautiful to see the growth and to see that, you know, you haven't given up and you kept going. And I'm just excited to keep seeing more, man.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that for real, bro. And you really have seen it from then.
Yeah.
Like, and you're like, man, you're exactly right. Like when at the time, like 2-3 years ago, before I had the studio and I was making songs, I was like, man, like I know I'm talented. If I could get help, I could go up. And like you said, you could hear it and be like, oh, this guy has potential, but it's not there yet. And I wanted someone to help shape me. And I would cry, bro. When I would see some artists go up, I'd be like, fuck, man, like that could be me. But you know what? The second I stopped doing that, and the second I started spending all those hours working on myself, I realized there's no point in me comparing to them. Everybody's journey is different.
Yeah. That's something that we talked about this before, I think, but a lot of people tend to compete with each other, almost like if there's like a specific number of spots in the music industry, and if someone gets there before you, it's like they stole your spots. It is sometimes it is a little bit like this, but it's not necessarily like this at all. Sometimes, you know, people feel like they're competing with each other, and when you forget about that and just focus on yourself, it's when you really see that, oh, you can suddenly make it.
And any real artist knows they're not competing with others; they're competing with themselves. And if you don't know that, then you ain't there yet.
It's tough. And lastly, I usually finish the interviews like this. If you could just give, I know it's hard, but if you could just give one tip to a guy that is where you were 2, 3, 4 years ago in your shoes right now, what would you tell him? Kind of summarizing everything.
Stop depending on others. If you want this shit, you better go do it yourself, and you better figure out how to make it happen. Doesn't matter how long it takes or how quick it is, just start. Because the longer you sit there and wait for other people, man, you're losing your time. Stand slipping.
Oh yeah, good motivational words to end.
Like those days that you feel like shit, like I can't record or something like that. Do something productive. Like get on a social media and go look at other people's stuff and really comment on them. And actually, that's a big one too. At that stage, you are still finding yourself. So do not be posting stuff and then like just liking other people's to get them to like yours. You have to go actually interact with people and make connections with people you fuck with, because then that shit will come back tenfold.
Yeah, because if you make a friend, then suddenly he might promote to his friends, and then suddenly you start building a family.
I mean, I have three full-blown conversations with different creatives every day, and kids will come asking me for advice, and I will give it to them. A lot of artists won't even respond or do that shit. I will give them the sauce. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because I know I got my shit. I don't have to worry about like, oh, it's gonna be my competition. Fuck that. Everybody can eat out here. So if you got sauce, share it, because when you need it, you're gonna get it back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good mentality. It's definitely what this industry needs. Hopefully more people were like you. Good stuff. Anyways, thank you so much for coming, man, and hopefully many people can see this and actually learn from you, because they for sure Gonna learn a lot from what you said. We have a lot of great content, so I can't wait to put it out.
Appreciate that. And let me quick promo. So Dynamic Axis dropped yesterday. The next one will drop in 3 weeks, called Bloody Waters, maybe 4. I'm still deciding. But Bloody Waters is gonna be the internet breaker, the first one. Then it's gonna be 5 stars. It's GTA theme. I'm about to take like a picture with this jacket on like a cityscape and have the 5 stars. You know, me smoking a blunt, make it look like a GTA cover. Then I got Hitch. But so the ones I really want y'all to watch out for: Bloody Waters, 5 stars, and Penthouse. These are gonna be the 3 that are going to take me up this year. And if I can get a visual to them, just watch.
Well, with the word Bloody Waters, we'll end the interview then. Bloody Waters, everyone.
All right. Appreciate you, brother.
Peace.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Thanks for watching the interview, guys. I truly hope you learned a lot. I encourage you to comment below what you learned and if you found it helpful. Also, if you have any suggestions on other people to interview, something you want to see on this channel. Last interview with Jumpers, we got a lot of comments, so let's keep that going. Let's keep the engagement going. And subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. If you subscribe, you support my content, you keep me motivated to keep working and keep grinding to build this brand and build this channel. So until then, I'll see you next time. Peace.